I wish I could be just like you. You know, strong and determined.
If I had to choose one word to describe Maki Zenin and Yuta Oktusu's relationship, it would be beautiful. In the crazy world of Jujutsu Kaisen, where cursed spirits and sorcerers exist, where gods battle other gods to determine the strongest, Maki and Yuta's relationship stands out as a grounded and relatable story within a much larger narrative. With Jujutsu Kaisen recently finishing, I decided to read the manga, and something that stood out to me after finishing was the bond that develops between the boy who believes he does not deserve to live and the Zenin clan's biggest failure. On the surface, Yuta and Maki are completely different people. Most people would never imagine how they would get along so well and bond. When we first see Maki and Yuta, Maki is strong, confident, and outgoing, whilst Yuta is meek and scared. They couldn't be any more different, but it is because of their separate struggles and differences that bring them closer together, and each becomes the person who completes the other. Specifically in Maki's case, I find it very interesting that Maki does not like Yuta at first, and I believe there are two big reasons why. Firstly, because of Yuta's meek personality, she perceives him as weak, a trait she despises in herself. She has been ridiculed her entire life for being weak, not having much cursed energy, let alone not even being able to see cursed spirits or cursed energy in general. In Jujutsu society, that is heavily looked down upon, and a child criticized for a trait beyond their control may grow to resent that trait, both in themselves and in others. Simply put, Maki's dislike of Yuta is also a reflection of how she dislikes herself. Secondly, Maki may seem harsh, but for a second I would like to replace the word harsh with the word guarded. Her abrasive personality is due to past experiences of rejection and marginalization, which led her to build barriers to protect herself from further pain. Deep down, she is a wounded soul. Furthermore, in order to understand her relationship, we have to go deeper and understand her motivations and character throughout the story. I believe Maki is hurt. In fact, I think it would be safe to say that she is always hurting. Whether she's training, on missions, or just with her friends, the hurt never leaves her. And it's no wonder given how her past constantly drags her down. She carries guilt over leaving her sister May, the shame her mother feels towards her, and even the trauma of her own father trying to kill her. This girl, for her entire life, has had to face so much rejection that the very idea of being accepted, the idea of being loved, is completely foreign to her. And so therefore, to understand Maki Zenin is to understand that due to a lifetime of rejection, she believes that she is unworthy of acceptance, unworthy of love, which is why Yuta makes such an impact on her life. When Yuta tells her, "I want to be like you," on the panel we see all of her memories of rejection rush back to her in a single moment, but then disappear. And what's left is Yuta, complimenting her, being happy for her, accepting her for who she is. I think it is safe to say that this is the first time in her life she has felt cherished. However, she does not know how to deal with these feelings right now, so she rejects them. Don't start believing that you've really been accepted. It would take Maki to grow by herself in order to accept acceptance and love from others. Specifically what happened between her, the Zenin clan, and her sister. You see, Mai isn't just the hurdle holding Maki back from reaching her full potential. She also prevents Maki from embracing and accepting herself. Before Yuta, Mai was the only person in Maki's life who truly accepted her for who she was, even as Maki struggled to fully accept herself. Maki's rejection of Mai isn't out of malice, but rather from a deep desire to escape the constraints and expectations of her family, which Mai embodied for her. This rejection, however unintentional, inflicts the same amount of pain on Mai that Maki has experienced her entire life, and Maki knows it, which is why Mai's death was so impactful for her. Being locked in the same room together and left to die by their father gives Maki and Mai the time to confront their past together. And Mai's death, well, it teaches Maki that true acceptance isn't something that she has to fight for. It was already there with Mai. It opens her eyes to the future possibility of accepting love and support from others in the future, especially those who genuinely care for her. Mai might have taken Maki's heart when she died, but in many ways, Mai also gave Maki her own in exchange. A heart that could never accept love, for a heart which could at the very least love one person. Yuta, on the other hand, when we first meet him, he is anything but strong. He is timid and unassertive due to witnessing the traumatic death of Rika. This event traumatized him and left him grief-stricken and emotionally scarred. And while it is never specifically stated, I believe Yuta developed survivor's guilt, which affected his confidence, because it was Rika who died that day instead of him. Yuta does not believe his life has any value. Not just that, not just because of what Rika has done to others, but because Rika is a cursed spirit in the first place. When being interrogated by Gojo, his supposed executioner, has to convince him to live. And after Yuta tells Gojo he does not want to live, Gojo says something very interesting to Yuta. You'll be lonely. Loneliness is central to Yuta's character. Ever since Rika died, he has been lonely, which is why he decides to give Jujutsu Kaisen High School a chance and find people to fill the void. And while he has people around him, and good friends at that, such as Panda, Inumaki, and Gojo, it is actually Maki, out of all people, the girl who at first thought he was a punk. She is the first person to give Yuta hope, to give him a reason to keep going. It is Maki who sees Yuta at his lowest point, this low moment inside of the belly of a curse. As he recounts how he got to this moment, he accepts that he does not want to be alone anymore. He does not just scream, but he calls out, I want to be with people. I want to be relied on by somebody. I want to believe that it is okay to keep living. I don't believe Yuta was directing these words to anyone in particular. Rather, this was Yuta calling out for help, and finally expressing the emotions that for so long he kept under wraps, that for so long cursed him. And it is Maki who answers that call.
呪いを払って払って払いまくれ。自信も他人もその後からついてくんだよ。呪術高専はそういう場所だ。
Keep exercising curses, and confidence and friends will find you. And after that day, Yuta lives for others. Yuta has heavy survivor's guilt, that much is certain, and the only way he believes his life has value is if he pays back the love and support Rika gave to him onto others, even if that is only one person. After Rika is set free, he still believes he needs to keep on giving, that he needs to prove he deserves to be the one who didn't die that day. We even see this in a fight during the culling games, where during one of his fights, he admits that he doesn't see any meaning in the fight, past helping Yuji and Megumi complete their plan. Or even during the final fight with Sukuna, he is more than willing to take the gamble of using Kenjaku's technique, even if that means he won't live after the technique runs out. Yuta's journey is about finding redemption and self-worth, not through power, but through genuine human connection and love. Just as Rika once gave to him, his growth is deeply tied to learning that his life has intrinsic value beyond just repaying the past, and yet he lives such a selfless life. At the end of the day, these two needed time to grow in order to become the best versions of themselves. They needed to overcome and face their pasts, which held them back. These are two people who did not allow their struggles to define them. Furthermore, the reason why these two work so well together is because each of them came into the other's life when they needed them the most. Maki, because of her past, felt unworthy of acceptance, and so she needs to be cherished. Yuta believes his life only holds value if he is giving to others, and so he needs to be valued by someone. Maki feels cherished when she is with Yuta, and Yuta can give acceptance to Maki. They are two people who beautifully complete each other. That's all.